Vikings in the house. Should be a good year. Just a little bit of football sprinkle in here on August 2nd. Just a couple of things about the NFL schedule. Obviously, I'm a big schedule guy. Those of you who watched my show last year and NFL Weekly know that. Schedule is very, very important. I'm a big believer in how things break. And as a coach myself, you see that time and time again in your own coaching. So why not? Wouldn't that be the case in NFL circles? So let's just look at a couple of things here. AFC East obviously has intra-conference. They play the AFC North, which is good. Inter-conference play the NFC North. So going to be some tough games for the AFC East here. 17th game is versus the NFC West. That's a corresponding team finishing fourth, third, second, or first. And of course, the AFC East teams, also have a corresponding game with whether they finish first, second, third, or fourth with other teams in their conference to make a 17-game schedule. So, AFC North obviously has some tough schedules, but I'm going to just skip down to my Vikings there for a second, if I may, since this is my show. NFC East, I'm happy about that. AFC East, I think the AFC East could be difficult. AFC South, we get a 17th game in there, so I'm happy about that. Hoping that we get the right team in that situation. But again, it's schedules are always interesting. Got this giant grid on the screen right here. It's very exciting to see this up there. Really excited. The NFL season can never come fast enough. The bad news is that means school's starting, and not that I don't love school, but at the same time, it's great to have off too. But anyway, so here we are. Let's look at these over-unders here for the AFC East. Buffalo Bills, 11.5. I think that's a good bet. I think the Bills have a tough division, but yet it's a division where they're clearly the best team. So I think the Pats and the Dolphins will be tough. I think the Jets will be improved. But I think 11.5 and a 17-game schedule is a good bet for the Bills. Their schedule is a little rough, as we talked about. They got other first-place teams on their schedule. They got to play the Rams. They got to play the Chiefs. Got to play the Bengals. All right, you got to play the Ravens. So obviously a very tough schedule. All those teams just mentioned are away. Got to play the Titans at home. Got to play the Packers at home. So again, Bills with a tough schedule, but I like their chances. I feel like, Stud Boy is getting better as a quarterback, and he's a man among boys some days. New England Patriots 8.5. I thought this was a little low considering the progress they had last year. I know everybody thinks at the end of the year they had a little bit of offensive struggles that everybody's figured out, what to do with Bill and his offense there, but I still feel like they're going to be okay. Again, it's really that interdivisional situation there with them. They're going to have to take advantage of the Jets and the Dolphins and things of that nature, and that's not easy to do. Dolphins 8.5. I think that the Pats are better than the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins had a Tyreek Hill, but I don't know. I still think the Pats are a little bit better. They got the genius in the house too. Sad thing is here in New York, I think the Jets will be a lot better, but 5.5 is their number. So if they win 6 games, the fans will be jumping off the bridge here. But at the same time, you could be better and not have a better record. And people who are in the business of coaching or competing don't understand those things. Sometimes you have a very good team. I know the Suffolk County boys basketball is set up like that this year. The Western divisions are like the 80s and 90s ACC basketball conference. So it's very rough sometimes. You can have some good teams in there that might not show it on their record. But moms and dads don't know that. So it's okay. But they'll tell you everything. AFC North, Bengals 10.5. My man Chicky's Bengals. And also Coach Heenan, new to the staff here for the South Atlanta Sharks, big Bengal fans. So 10.5, I think it's always tough. You have that hangover from losing the Super Bowl. Plus, they had a couple of games break their way. On a good year, that's what happens. On a bad year, we'll see. Again, their schedule is rough. They got that first place schedule now. They got to play the Chiefs. They got to play the Titans. They got to play the Bucks. So that's gonna be tough. The Cowboys are no bargain either. They got to play the Bills. So again, tough schedule here for the Bengals. I could see them going under, maybe getting 10, but I think it's going to be tough. The only good news is the Steelers, I think, take a big step backwards. No Ben. They still have the Steelers scheduled in for 7.5. That's respect for a very steady franchise, but I don't think the Steelers. I think the Steelers 8-9 isn't a bad number for the Steelers, I guess, but it could be easily be 7-10 or 9-8. You know how that 3-game window goes. But no Ben, big change in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin does a good job, so I think that's what the bet is. Mike Tomlin will keep the ship organized. Cleveland Browns, till yesterday, we didn't know it was going to be a Deshaun. He's missing the first 6 games, so there was no over-under on them. I think the Browns, with Deshaun Watson out for 6 games, I would put them around 7 or 8 wins because they're going to miss Deshaun Watson, obviously. Jacoby Brissett, I think, is pretty solid, though. So if I sit down and think about that, maybe I could stretch it to 8.5. Maybe I can get them to a 9-win season. Baltimore Ravens, 9.5. Very tough schedule also. Got the Bucks. All right, they got Buffalo. They got Denver, who's going to be much improved. They got the Bills. They got obviously the Bengals twice, and the Pats. So tough stuff here. And these over-unders. It's always fun to watch these over-unders. Turn to the AFC South, which I think is the weakest division in football, but we'll see about that. We'll see. I'm happy that the Vikings have a game in the AFC South. So wish it was our year to have that division, but we don't. Tennessee, 9.5. As long as they got big boy in the hole there, I think they're going to be all right. I still think they're the class of the division. I think the Colts are close, but the Colts are 2 inconsistent games that you think the Colts are going to win. They never seem to win. So Tennessee, though, has that tough schedule also. The Chargers are going to be rough. The Packers, the Bills, I mean, woof, unbelievable. Raiders and the Broncos are going to be no bargain. Anybody playing the AFC West is not going to be a bargain this year. They got the Bengals and the Raiders and the Cowboys. So, but I think they'll be fine in their division, and that's where you have to beef up. I think if you can get a 4-2 in your division, which I fully expect them to be able to do. Problem with the Titans is a lot of their games are close. So even when you're getting your wins, you could easily get one of those teams to slip up and you get a loss. They don't play that style with that, they control the ball, but they'll beat you. But, they could easily lose a game and play 2 here or there. Colts are the same at 9.5. I guess Matty Ice coming over there is going to help them. But again, tough schedule for the Colts. Similar to the Titans, except a little bit easier. All right, you got the Chargers and the Chiefs, obviously. You got the Broncos and the Raiders and the interdivisional thing. I think the AFC South teams are going to have a struggle as a record. And I always like to have the division records up there and then see what's going on. It's always fun during the year to check that out. Houston Texans didn't have the offseason from hell, thank God. 4.5 is their mark. I just think they're a team with no real identity right now. Mills be a quarterback. We'll see how that works out. Jacksonville Jaguars, 6.5. If Stud Boy doesn't have a better year at quarterback, they're going to start to use the B word for bust. Let's face it, he was not good last year. Lawrence was not a good quarterback last year. We'll see what happens this year. You might say, well, he didn't have a lot around him. You're right. But at the same time, where's those examples of him straying through it and winning a game by himself? Usually you get 1 or 2 of those. I know Wilson for the Jets had a game or 2 like that. I'm just waiting for Lawrence to do that. I wish him luck. It's good to see. It'll be good to see Jacksonville be good. AFC West, best division of football. Not even close. There's not a bad team in here. It's unbelievable that, you could have 4 really good teams, but the AFC is just loaded this year. A lot of great players went from the NFC, the AFC, Adams, Wilson, people of that nature. And you could just see how tough it's going to be in the AFC. As a Viking fan, it's good for me. AFC West, like I said, Chiefs 10.5. As long as you got Patrick there and Andy Reid there, I think it's a solid fit. Again, really tough schedule though. Got the Bucks, got the Niners, got the Bengals, obviously. Bills, just incredibly tough schedule. Los Angeles Rams, obviously. Raiders, everybody's talking about them with Devontae Adams, 8.5. I got to see more out of Carr though. Carr's been good, but Carr's not great. Carr's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Aaron Rodgers, who is, but 8.5. Not loving him. Not loving him at the 8.5. We'll see what happens. Devontae Adams is a stud, but then again, Aaron's not throwing the ball. Carr will be throwing the ball. Plus, like I said, AFC West schedule is just brutal. Chargers 10.5. I like them to step up. So basically, they have them and the Broncos, who I think are a little high at 10.5. I know Russell Wilson's great, but is Russell Wilson going to run an offense or is just going to run around and make plays? So if Denver allows him to do that, I think they can go 10.5. If you can ask this guy to actually run an offense, I don't know. Russell's always made things happen on his own. Can he just drop back and throw it? I'm not sure. I love Russell Wilson. He's one of my favorite players. But at the same time, he always just made plays. He did like the Elway did back in the old days. He just make a play. Whereas if you can ask him to say hike and make a read and just throw it, I think he'd get bored doing that. Russell's so talented that, I think 10.5 might be high for the Broncos. That's my son Gordon's favorite team, so I always root for the Broncos. So I give them a shout out. But the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs all 10.5. I don't know how you could logically do that. I know the guys who do the over-unders, you think they have some experience with math, but I don't see how you can predict 3 teams in the same division. You get 11 wins when they each have 6 games versus each other. Mathematically, I'm sure that's possible, but it doesn't give you a lot of wiggle room. And like I said, I know they're playing, a tough schedule here, obviously. And you do have the easy part of playing the AFC South, which is going to help them a lot. I'll probably think they'll get 3 out of 4 there, but just a tough schedule. So for them and the Chargers, we'll see. Give me some exciting stuff. Over on the NFC side, Cowboys 10.5. Always predicted to do well, but never really stand much. And as a Viking fan, I know how bad a coach Mike McCarthy is all those years with Aaron Rodgers. New guy comes in and goes basically 13-3, 3 years in a row. We could always count on Mike for 11-5 or 10-6. I know he won one Super Bowl, but he's the Mike Scioscia of the NFL. And as a Viking fan, I hate to see him go because I just don't think he's as good a coach week in, week out as the current Packers coach. Eagles 8.5. I think they're a little overrated. Washington Redskins stay slept 7.5. I could care less if they ever win a game again. New York Giants 6.5 here in New York. You always got to hear the fans talking. A big year for Daniel Jones. Let's see if Saquon Barkley steps up. Big year. Daboll going to do a good job. We'll see. Daniel Jones going to take care of the football in the red zone. We'll find out. 6.5. Tough schedule for the NFC East, I think. They got the Bucs, the Pack, the Rams, the Cowboys have. They got the Bengals. So it is not going to be a joke by any stretch of the imagination. Like I said, the Eagles, the Giants schedule. Let's look at the Giants schedule. We got my Vikes, the Titans, the Seahawks, Colts. The Giants schedule is not bad. They could have a decent year when you look at this. They do have the Packers in there. But again, battles in the division. Got to see what the Giants get. Let's see how they do. NFC North, my beloved Minnesota Vikings, who we signed everybody in the offseason, but let's see how we do. We got the Pack at 11.5. I think that with that coach, I think that's a good bet. And Aaron Rodgers. Get to my Vikes, 8.5. I feel that's low. I feel like we're at least a 10-win team. Then again, last year we had the talent to win 11 or 12 games, but Zim was just very distracted by that looks of that girlfriend. I understand. But 8.5, I feel is very, very low for this team. Very talented team. I wish we would have get something out of Barr, and we didn't get anything out of Hunter the last couple of years, and we still had a chance to make playoffs. So Hunter's played no games basically in 2 years, and Barr's played 4. You want to look at the Vikings' troubles? Look no further than that. Bears 7.5. Lions 6.5. So it should be really interesting stuff. So I feel like the Vikes, like I said, are going to get 10. I feel like the Bears will be better than people think. I like the kid at quarterback. Lions, I thought were very good. I thought coach did a good job with them. I just feel like it's going to be a situation where you're going to get a bounce of a ball here or there. Vikes had a couple of bad ones last year. We could have been in the playoffs. I feel like the NFC South is the second weakest division of football. I feel definitely that the Bucs are going to have free sailing against the Saints. They're not the Saints right now. They lost the coach, lost the quarterback a couple of years ago. They're good. Falcons lost Matty Ice. So here we are. Tom Brady's going to get like a 12-5 record, a 13-4. All been here by the Brady when the division sucks. And you got the Carolina Panthers in there at 6.5. I look for the Panthers to make a strike back. Panthers and the Broncos last year benefited from, as you know, how much I like to talk about the schedule. They both got out to 3-0 starts. We talked about that on Telling It Like It Is before week 1. And we'll get to that on the previews of the divisions when we come up. But at the same time, they both didn't make it. They both collapsed after that, as we knew they would. And we just talked about that last year as well, as how hard the Texans' schedule was to get off to an 0-5 start, I believe. It was just brutal for them. It's almost like, they pissed off somebody to make that schedule. And, sometimes that happens. The schedule can make you a victim pretty quick, or it can make you the beneficiary pretty quick. So we'll see. But like I said, the Panthers would, I don't know, Baker, if McCaffrey could just stay healthy, I feel like that team could do some work. But again, rough schedule. But yet that division is bad. So you got to see if you can find a way to pull a game away from the Falcons. Got to see if you can pull a game, not away from the Bucs, but away from the Saints. See if you can get the 2-4, 3-3 in that division. Try to win your games out of division. NFC West loaded. All right, you got the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Niners. And I think the Hawks are going to take a big step backwards, obviously. Big contract for Kyler Murray, the former A's first pick. 9.5 for the Cardinals. They'll get off to another 6-2 start and then self-destruct. I feel like the Niners, a lot of pressure on them. They sent Jimmy G packing. All the guy did was win. That's fine. Trey Lance will be fine. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. But, Jimmy G is just one. It's one of those guys that just, they don't like the style of winning. He's like Al Skinner at BC College. BC was 500, made the NCAA tournament in a tough ACC. And, people said they didn't like the fact that he was running the flex. Well, he's running the flex for a reason. Keeps his teams in games, and he won games. But, today it's about style and everything else. So Al obviously didn't win enough. And the same thing they did with Jimmy G. I feel like they're the same guy. Just keep winning. Los Angeles Rams, 10.5, Super Bowl champs. Always a little bit of a hangover. They invested a lot into that team. And I know they definitely lost some of those players off that great roster they had. My friend Mike DeRosa, big Ram fan. He's been a Ram fan since Eric Dickerson. So he's legit. He's not a phony Ram fan. Like I said, Seahawks down to 6.5. I think that's about right or being kind. As far as like just the big games on the list, there's always those big games on the list. I mean, the fact that the Panthers, you know, are going to come out, actually the Browns and the Texans, I believe, don't they play each other soon? Yes, week 2, the Browns and the Texans play each other. That's kind of ironic. Baker, well, actually, that's not the proper schedule up there. That is the wrong schedule, kids. They didn't give me that 2022 one, those bums. Oh, look at that, these sneaky bums. I believe that Baker and them play early. Baker and the Panthers, I believe, play the Browns early in the year. Let's check. Let's see if we can find that out. Nope. They won't give it to me. They're done with that. But the thing is, I feel like it's big games. I know Baker's, like I said, got to play. Deshaun's going to have to play his guys. It's going to be an exciting NFL season. Really looking forward to it. We'll have our divisional previews coming up real shortly. Take care.